The $1 Million Movie won't be seen tonight, so he can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to the Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is another
For the Stepdads.
Yeah, your dorky old stepdads are here to talk about the ones that started them all and what we're doing. What a fun month, man.
It was. It really was. We did a lot of talking about a lot of movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen most of these movies.
Yeah.
Most. There's only 3. But my God, I think all 3 of them are my favorite of the bunch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Aliens is a great movie. It's a fantastic action movie, but I think Alien is a superior film.
Yes.
I think in terms of plot, story, and character development, and the fact that they have nothing, no weapons,
No, they're just dudes going out, and then things happen to them.
Yeah, and again, too, it's something that kind of came out of nowhere and was so unique.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just Jaws in space. It had a lot more going for it.
Right.
And same with Terminator. Terminator 2 is a great, amazing movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's flawed. And Terminator 1 is just such a perfect, compact story. Yeah.
I mean, personally, I would probably put T2 over Terminator, but only for nostalgia, because that's the one that got me into the franchise.
Right.
But it also made the franchise happen, and the franchise got stupid. So I will always fault it for that.
But I always took for granted Arnold's performance.
Yeah.
And really watching it this time, it was incredible.
Yeah.
The way he moved, the way he handled the guns, the way he did everything was absolutely amazing. I know this is going to sound weird, but I think it might be his best acting role.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, he's a much better actor than people give him credit for. Because I think about stuff like Twins and things,
Sure. And was it Mandy? Not Mandy? No. There was some movie recently where he played. It was like a zombie thing, and his daughter was a zombie. It was like
maybe it was Mandy.
No, Mandy was the one with Nick Cage.
Oh,
but it was similar.
Anyway, but he's an old guy and he's trying to save his kid.
She's a zombie.
But it's not. But he's good. I mean, but you definitely can see how committed he gets to a character and wants to be good.
The man has a work ethic.
Yes,
and
he definitely does.
Whatever he lacks, let's say, in talent or whatever, he makes up for it. Like Tom Cruise, except Tom Cruise doesn't seem to be having any fun. He pretends to.
He tries to make you think he is.
He sure puts on that. Some of his best acting is pretending like he's a normal human being. Yeah. But I think Arnold just loves all of it. Yeah. We talked about this before, and it's infectious. And like I compared before, everything about Cruise and The Rock and all of these quote unquote movie stars of today is so manufactured. Especially for social media and all these little things. And I get it, it's publicist run Hollywood these days.
Right.
But even when it looks like he and Kevin Hart are quote unquote having fun, it just always seems manufactured to me.
You can always see that little in the back of his head, like, is this going to work? Is this going to work?
Yes, exactly.
But also to piggyback on that, I feel like Arnie is the last of the Hollywood star that just really revels in it. Yeah. Like Brad Pitt is a great actor and he's a huge star, but if he never made another movie again, he'd be perfectly happy.
Brad Pitt is a character actor trapped in a leading man's body.
Yes.
And he always has been and he always will be.
But he always seemed a little uncomfortable with the attention.
Still does.
And and Arnie is the exact opposite.
But I would put Brad more as an actor than a movie star. I think,
they tried to make him a movie star.
Well, I think a movie star, to me, is somebody that transcends it all. Right. Transcends whatever material they're doing. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what it is. People are going to see it because, and that's
Schwarzenegger.
That's Schwarzenegger, and that is, to a certain extent, Stallone, or it used to be.
And Chuck Norris.
And Chuck Norris, yes, I'm a star, just like the other guys. But But you're right. And I'm not, look, I'm not disparaging The Rock or Kevin Hart or any of these guys. They've
made really fun movies.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And the stuff that they've accomplished is extremely admirable. Yeah. The way that Kevin Hart can sell out stadiums is somebody being on stage in front of tens of thousands of people. That's incredible to me. Like the fact that he can do something so intimate in front of so many people. That's great.
Right.
I'm not, just because they manage their careers, I'm not faulting them for it. I'm faulting them for trying to pass it off as something else. I mean, that's a little disingenuous to your fans, and you don't need to do that. You're already big enough. And I think, the rivalry that The Rock has with whomever, it's all kind of silly and stupid.
Who?
Exactly, but it comes up. It's like, it's all this fake and phony bravado crap. But the rivalry between Stallone and Arnold was absolutely real and was one of the great. I want to see a movie about their rivalry and all of the stuff they did, because they effed with each other so crazily. And then went into business together, which is just beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, they knew who they were.
I honestly always think that Stallone was just always in his shadow. For me, it was always Arnie. I mean, because he was so easy to watch.
I think it must have been tough for Stallone, who he came out as an actor and a filmmaker, right? Yeah. Rocky was not what it was. Rocky was an independent picture. It was an independent film. And a very, very good one.
Yeah.
Really well written, really well acted by him. Mm-hmm. Totally pigeonholed him and everybody thinking he's a dumb. But it just shows, that he's a good actor. And I think he made the switch to becoming a movie star around Rambo, I think.
It was Rambo First Blood Part 2, for sure.
Right. That was the one.
Around Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 or whatever. Rocky 3.
3 was like really,
where it was
really
like,
big.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think
he fights Mr. T.
I pity a fool.
Or Hulk Hogan. I don't remember. Maybe both in that movie?
Both,
yeah.
Anyway. I'm going to throw you, brother. I'm going to throw you right out of the ring. Yeah, dumb. But great soundtrack. But I think for him, Arnold came out. He did Conan.
Yeah.
Well, he did Hercules, which nobody paid attention to.
No, it was super
with his dubbed voice. That's so great. If you've ever seen that movie, it's hilarious.
It's ridiculous.
He talks like this. Hello, I am Hercules, and I am here to have some biscuits. But I think Arnie came out, blew it out of the water with Conan, which was such a cult hit.
Yeah.
And such a beloved character for the few of us who really, knew who Conan was.
Oh, yeah.
And then Terminator, and then just a roller coaster of hits.
Right.
And started eclipsing Sly, which pushed him.
Yeah.
And then pushed each other, which led us to the destruction of Hollywood, basically. The fact that budgets and salaries and everything got way too out of proportion and crazy.
Still is, yeah.
And then they sabotaged The Last Action Hero to squash it.
Yeah.
To squash it. And but it was fascinating. It was a fascinating time, and unlike any other time.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like rivalry and movie stars. And
it was fun. It was fun as an audience member to be able to watch this stuff.
So much fun, because we didn't give an S about box office receipts. We weren't looking every Monday to see, what were the numbers?
We wanted a good movie.
We wanted to see what Sly was saying about Arnold, and what Arnold was saying about Sly, and eventually what they were both saying about Bruce Willis. But when they all became pals. But it was this kind of, it's really hard to explain. It's a kind of a silly bravado. There's so much silliness and fun to it, and harmless fun too.
Yeah.
Look, the worst thing that came out of this rivalry was "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot." Let's be honest. They probably pushed themselves physically too much or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Stallone definitely did.
Yeah, he did. But also, and then and First Blood, right out of the gate, his best movie.
Oh yeah.
And that's an easy call for best of the bunch.
Yes.
But still, it's just these three movies kicked off franchises it was a little burp that turned into an explosion almost with each of these. And so much fun to go back and watch them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're so good. I did find after we did the First Blood episode that apparently at one point Quentin Tarantino wanted to readapt the novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was probably like 4 years ago, but he wanted to do it with Adam Driver as Rambo, and then Kurt Russell as Teasel, but make it more in line with the book, and because there's way more about Teasel in the book than there is in the movie. And Dennehy did a great job. I mean, the
amazing.
But it would have been interesting. And then again, that's Tarantino. He does that a lot, where he's like, "Oh, I want to do a Star Trek movie," and then he never does.
As much as I adore Kurt Russell, I just after reading the book, especially, which we both read the book, because we're very professional podcasters. But after reading the book. Honestly, I think like a Paul Giamatti almost, or somebody less physically imposing and less actiony.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
I love him, but he's such a tough guy. Even now, even watching him in Monarch, the guy's in his 70s. You know,
he's got to be in his 70s,
and he is still tough as nails. You know, great teeth, greatest teeth in Hollywood. But yeah, I Adam Driver seems like a really cool choice, though. I mean, I think
given his military background, like he would be great, and he's a great man. I've been going back and watching old SNL skits with Adam Driver, and that man commits.
Well, first of all, he memorizes everything. Which he's never looking at.
99% of them don't.
It just shows the laziness of the cast. Because he's looking them directly in the eye, and they're looking off at the, he's connecting 100% to the point where he makes them all break because he's so absolutely unbreakable.
So committed into that. Oh, my God.
He gets to the heart of whatever character he's playing, whether it's a 3-minute sketch or a 3-hour movie. And I think it's the talent and the discipline and the research are the combination that make him such an amazing actor.
He's so good. I mean, he actually made 65 watchable. It was not a good movie.
I don't know if I watched that.
I thought we... No, I think Phoebe and I watched it. It's not good.
I might have watched it.
With the weird dinosaurs and the... it's like, oh, yeah, they're aliens, but they're not aliens, but they're actually people, and they're whatever. Anyway, the movie had problems, but he was good.
But good for him for taking some risks. You know, he could just do these crazy dramas all day long and win every award all the time, and just become that guy. But the fact that he took detours into Star Wars or took detours into comedies, the Jim Jarmusch, the zombie one, they are all dead at the end or something like that with Bill Murray. Such a funny movie, and he's great. I love him, and I would love to see him as Rambo. I think he would be absolutely incredible.
Apparently, they're also doing a what they're calling Rambo New Blood, which is a TV series. I don't know anything else about it, but apparently it's a sequel. Apparently about it's in the same
universe
franchise of the Rambo movies, but it's supposedly about Rambo's son. How they're going to work that in, I don't know.
Who's the mom? Everybody he ever loved died.
Who knows? Who knows?
The baby in her belly and kept her alive for 9 months.
But I got the impression that it was going to be similar to what Tarantino would do, is that it's going to be kind of what we talked about in the episode is going to be a closer adaptation of the original novel.
But then just do the GD novel, for F's sake.
I know.
I mean, come on.
I know.
We don't need your cute little takes and tricks and tops.
And
just do the novel.
I don't need the connection that he's... I still think my idea of Rambo coming in and doing the Troutman character would be a great way to cap out the entire franchise.
That would be great. Or just make it a new movie and make Stallone Troutman.
Yeah.
You know, and turn it around. I think everybody'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Just about the book. The book is great.
Yeah, it's really good.
The book is great.
Really good.
Written by
David Morrell.
Who's written several books.
Yeah.
He actually, one of our friends, Jason Norrit, he was a teacher of his.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Apparently a very nice guy.
Yeah.
And a very good teacher.
Yeah.
But,
that's awesome.
But I wasn't expecting... I was expecting kind of a pulpy, dime store kind of... ultra violent, especially with the pornography.
Carnography,
carnage pornography. Ooh, but it wasn't at all. It was so deep, and it really dealt. The thing that I love about the book more than the movie is that we got to see both sides. We got to see Troutman, and we got to see Rambo.
Right,
and we got to.
Or not Teasel and Rambo.
Sorry, Teasel and Rambo.
Yeah. But that's part of it, is that why I felt like they shortchanged him in the movie, because the end of that book is about both of them.
Yeah.
And and the things that they're both wrong.
They both can't let go.
Yes.
They're both stubborn a-holes.
Yes.
Who just can't let it go. And it kills them both. Spoiler alert, sorry. Yeah. But it's such a... Because that's the thing. You get into their minds. You get into their thought process.
Yes.
And the internal struggle going on between... What the F am I doing?
Right.
To I can't stop doing this.
Yeah, I have to do this now. Like it is one of the best depictions of PTSD for both characters.
Yeah. Without really knowing that it was about that.
Right.
Which is even more incredible.
Right.
Because he was going from what he said, he was basing a lot of it off of the students that came back in the late 60s from the Vietnam War and how they were damaged and
very damaged,
and suffering from PTSD, something that they didn't know what it was. It was just like it was like the Vietnam blues is kind of like what they called it.
I mean, even I remember early on in the 80s when I was young, still Vietnam veterans were like, oh yeah, he's just crazy from the war, and it's like nobody really knew what the hell was going on.
No. I mean, it's like, well, the fireworks have started, got to lock him up in his room. And it's like, okay, well, why don't get him some help?
Yeah, what? Yeah, it's hard. He's not a dog.
No, exactly. I mean, it's just, there wasn't a lot of empathy towards our Vietnam vets.
No,
after that war.
No, it really wasn't, and it's disappointing.
And that compounds upon. I mean, think about being forced to do some of the things that they had to do in Vietnam.
Yeah,
they're already feeling horrible about it. They're already feeling tortured. And then instead of coming home and being forgiven or being praised or even just sympathy, you've been through a lot, guy. Come on in. Let's have a sandwich.
Well, I mean, what they knew, and granted, again, I'm not a war expert. I'm not a PTSD expert. But going into it, it was like, oh, well, everybody in World War II, our fathers came back and were heroes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, what? I didn't want to go there. And now I had to do all this awful stuff. And I come back, and then you call me the bad guy.
Yeah, well, also their fathers came back damaged.
Oh, no, they 100%
did. And heroes or not, there was a lot of ruined men.
There weren't any parades being thrown for the Vietnam veterans.
Just the opposite. And that's where we failed our veterans.
Oh, horribly.
Failed them.
We're still failing our veterans.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, this isn't that kind of show, but...
No.
Yeah, I mean...
But, it's just,
You got to take care of the people.
Turn them up, spit them out.
You can't... revere them one day and then vote against everything that will help them the next.
Right.
You're a hypocrite. Right. But what a great book. If you haven't read it.
So good. Highly recommend it.
Quick read.
Good. Yeah.
Get through it in I got through it in 2 or 3 sessions. Yeah. Because it'll grip you. It'll keep you.
It's good. It's really good.
And they did a really good job adapting it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for what they had to do for a feature, I think they did. I think if they really wanted to do more of the Teasel stuff, it would have been a 3-hour movie. And
I think for the time too, it was probably the best adaptation.
Agreed.
They could do. Unless you got Michael Cimino taking the reins. Yeah. But yeah, so if for some bizarre reason you haven't seen any of these 3 movies, just get them.
Yeah, highly recommend.
These are definitely 3 to put in your collection. We're going to be doing this year we're going to be talking more about collections and things that you should put in your collection.
Yes, because you should be buying your physical media.
It is time, man.
Yeah.
We're learning more and more that we just lease the things that we have digitally. We don't own them.
Nope.
And there are different manufacturers like the Ubisoft gentleman, the guy
I think he was the CEO. Or the president of
Ubisoft.
Not
of Ubisoft.
of
of digital distribution, I believe.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to say it, but he's like, "We'll get used to not owning your games." And I sent the article to Adam, and his response, which was completely apt, was "F that." And so this year I have decided that anything that I can buy, except for little, $2 or $5 games and stuff on sale.
Right.
But anything that I would buy digitally, I'm buying physically.
Yeah.
So we can share it.
Yeah.
B, so I can have it. Look, I did a B.
Yeah,
and
look at
C, so I can enjoy it.
Yeah,
I want.
I think the only game that has come out that is only digital that I will buy this year is Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll do
I was hoping. I'm kind of holding out that they'll break down and do a physical release at some point, but we'll see. It seems like the company's going much more into the digital world.
A lot of them are. And then, you have companies like Ubisoft that are just basically going the streaming route where they want you to join like Ubisoft Direct. Is that what it's something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Where you can, and that's how you access all of your games. And it's like, no. And here's the biggest problem with it is they can remove titles anytime they want.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we've learned, we've learned quite a few things doing this show, but one thing that we've learned is that it's hard to find some of your favorite stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank God for the library, because that's where we get a lot of our things, because they're not streaming. Some classics, Foul Play, couldn't find.
Yeah. I had I think I got it from the library, but I think I ended up buying it too because I loved that movie. It was great. But yeah, there's so many things that, and even the library sometimes falls because they have limited resources too.
Yeah.
It's just that they happen to have, like, coming up in March, we've got a bunch of movies that I think at least a third of them or half of them we're going to get from the library.
Tough gig. Yeah. And that's the problem, That's where you are I was going to say slave, but that seems like a very bad analogy. But you are at the mercy of the distributor. You're at the mercy of these corporations in terms of what you want to watch when you want to watch it.
Yeah.
And they could take it away at any time. Just like Zaslav and Warner Brothers cut license with PlayStation about a bunch of their titles, and then they yanked them out of your library.
Right.
They yanked PT out of your library.
Stuff that you technically paid for.
Yes.
That you thought you owned.
Yes. And we're learning that we don't. So,
I highly recommend. I had a huge DVD collection. I got rid of a lot of it. Granted, it was bloated. I didn't need most of it. Yeah. But now it's like I am very conscious about the stuff that I really like.
Yeah.
I will get on Blu-ray. I will get on 4K.
At least your top 20 flicks. That's I get your top 20 movies.
Yeah.
On Blu-ray or DVD or however you want to watch it. VHS, if that's your thing.
And you can find a lot of DVDs now because there's still people selling them. You can still find a lot on Amazon, like $5 for a DVD of something.
And they're cheap. Look, next month we're doing First Loves.
Yeah.
And they're the like for me, one of them is $6 Million Man, which is the first television show that I loved. I mean, I loved TV before that, but it was the show that I could not that shaped a lot of who I am.
Yeah.
And luckily, he was a good role model. But I, as watching it and loving it, because I haven't seen it since I was a kid again. I mean, most of the stuff I've watched this month is just reruns of $6 Million Man.
Just same.
Because it's just so fascinating.
It is super weird
to talk about it.
I love it.
But you can get the entire series and all the movies on DVD,
including
for under $70.
Yeah, including the 6 TV movies, the 3 at the beginning, the 3 at the end,
100-hour-long episodes,
and the 3 at the end. You literally, they're not on any streaming services anywhere.
Nope. And then for another $19, you can on DVD, you can pick up the Bionic Woman and have the whole shebang, which I want to do. And that's the thing, just get your favorites. You don't have to be like Adam and I used to be every Tuesday on release day, going down to Best Buy and filling our little baskets.
Be a little more judicious with your buying.
But at least your top 20 movies.
But this is why, like, right around Christmas, I bought the Twilight Zone on Blu-ray. And it was like $20-$30, but it was, and I have it all on DVD, but there was a few extra features, and I was like, you know what, I want to see these, and they look great on Paramount, like they look great, but who knows when that's going to go away, and I want to be able to rewatch it whenever I want to.
Or how long until they all force us to watch commercials like Amazon is doing.
Yeah.
Prime is doing. And,
Prime,
you become a hostage. I know that's not, okay, we're going to totally cut that because that is absolutely wrong. You become beholden to these companies, and they dictate your viewership, and they dictate how you watch stuff and when. And I don't want that. I want the freedom to do what I want.
They sold the streaming services as you can watch anything you want anytime. And they still are saying that when they realize they can't do that.
No.
So they don't, but they keep telling you that. And And it's frustrating.
And they keep bouncing, shows that HBO have had since the onset are now going to different streaming services, and you can't guarantee that anything's going to be where you want it to be when it's there. And we've gone to watch a movie, and it's on there one day, and then the next day when we go to watch it, it's gone.
It's gone, yeah. And every month, it's like you got to go through, because I write the scripts pretty far in advance, and like you got to go through and keep looking to see, like, is it still there? Is it still there?
Yeah. This make this the year of physical media for you. And I'm telling you, if you put $30-$40 every month into a little kitty, and then you especially look, if you're getting stuff that's from the 70s or TV shows from the 70s or 80s, I personally think that the best way to get them is DVD. Because that's, if it's too clear, watching the $6 Million Man, you can see within the shot there's 3 different people. There's Stuntman 1, Stuntman 2, and then Steve. And then because it's too crystally clear. But I mean, there's our rant, our physical media rant, and we're going to be talking more about that this month. And not this month. We're going to be talking about this more this year. Giving you guys some recs. We will definitely recommend the $6 Million Man box set, baby, because that show is unlike anything. Anything ever. It is insane. I can't wait to talk about it. So, what was your favorite of the month?
My favorite movie?
Well, not like,
or just favorite.
Well, no, from the 3 that we watched.
Oh, I see.
Like, not necessarily, because I think Alien is probably my favorite of the 3, but I think my favorite watch of this month was Rambo. Was First Blood.
I would agree. I mean, probably my favorite of the 3 movies was the Terminator, but only because I'm a huge time travel nerd, and like it kind of surreptitiously introduced the whole time travel concept to a lot of people, and because this was before Back to the Future, and God knows that just cemented it. But it was interesting. It was like, for me, it was that moment of like, they can do that?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what? Like, nothing is safe, But I love that movie. But I don't think I'd ever seen First Blood before we covered it, and it is a phenomenal film.
It really is, and it gets buried in the garbage that is the sequels. As why you never saw it.
Yeah.
But I think, it was again. Aliens is my favorite of the bunch. I just think it is such a perfect movie, perfect movie, and such an amazing debut for Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, but the joy of rewatching First Blood after not seeing it for decades, it was so surprising again just how good that movie is. How great Sylvester Stallone is in it.
Phenomenal. Some of the best acting he's done by far.
Yeah, all of them. And these, if any of these 3 movies were made today, they would not be anywhere nearly as good.
No, I agree.
Because they would have, Terminator would have been some low budget B, crap fest, and then First Blood would have been an over the top. Either it would go way too into the drama aspect of it, or it would just ramp up the ultra violence and make it.
Well, the funny thing is that all those franchises, you can tell how they got worse as it went on.
Well, the beauty of these franchises is they're all kind of time capsules of the time that they're made, because we get to watch these franchises grow through the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and how they change and switch and move around.
That was actually, you just sent me an article about Noah Hawley is doing an Alien TV show, and talked about how even working with Ridley Scott, how he's just kind of going to ignore the last 2 movies. Because he's like, suddenly they're using technology that's like hundreds of years past what the first movie was. And it's like, that's not, they're prequels. Like, what?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
I think the word he used was problematic. For his story. But he should be able to. I mean, we all, if you're going to make something within the lore, let's say lore, because it's not necessarily the same story. It's in the same universe.
In the universe,
They ignore and retcon all sorts of stuff all the time. You look at Star Wars, Star Wars, so much of what was canon is now not canon.
Right.
Canon, and can't. So...
Well, that was but I feel like that was part of the problem with the first episode 1, 2, and 3, because it seemed like they had much better technology than they did 30 years later when it was suddenly episode 4, and it was like, oh, this is why I love stuff like Andor, or Rogue One. Like they were in the realm of that universe, right? And they're done so well, and they're so much fun to watch.
Because they also have the template of the technology.
Sure. But I mean, like, that's...
But honestly, Adam,
you don't need
just to counter your point, the High Republic era was much more of a technologically advanced era.
In 30 years, it all went away? 30 years?
Quite a bit.
Okay.
See, you understand when the Emperor took over...
he made all the technology go away? I mean, what?
Yes.
There's nothing you're going to say that's going to convince me that...
What technology?
I don't... It looked too sleek. It looked too... And it made me sad because it was George Lucas doing it. Like, he could have easily have designed it to be like, oh, this is a precursor of the stuff that we had, but no, he wanted to do his thing and, like, whatever. I just...
Just to be devil's advocate.
I was...
Tatooine was the same Tatooine.
Sure.
We saw a bunch of planets we had never seen before. Sure. Those planets had different technology. Okay. Different planets would have different technology.
All right. Fair.
I think.
Fair.
I'm an apologist. I'm not even an apologist. I'm just a lover.
My least favorite thing about it is that the Obi-Wan tiny little side rat tail went out of fashion by the time Episode 4 happened.
That is because he wasn't a Jedi yet, Adam. That was a Padawan's braid, if you pay attention to what it is to be a Jedi.
Really, really don't like the prequels. Sorry.
That's okay. I love them. I love them enough for the both of us.
I am really excited about the Noah Hawley Alien TV show. I'm guessing it'll probably come out next year. I don't think it'll be this year.
Oh, no. Speaking of Noah Hawley, I can't wait. I'm going to watch the last episode of the latest season of Fargo after today's show. And man, oh man, has that been a great, great season.
Yeah, I need to watch that. Yeah.
Juno Temple and John Hamm and Lamorne Morris. Lamorne Morris from The New Girl. He's insane. It's such a fun. A lot of people apparently don't really like this season. Yeah. I don't get it. It's so...
That's weird because I love John Hamm and I like Juno Temple and I like Lamorne Morris.
Yeah.
I don't know. And Noah Hawley's a fantastic writer.
And the kid from Stranger Things, Joe Keery. Oh, remember Joe Keery? He was the guy. He's
I only saw the first season he was in. I didn't see the second season
of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last two. I think.
Oh, yeah. You're missing out. Anyway, he was really good on that show. Jennifer Jason Leigh is amazing, and Dave Foley is.
I didn't even realize he was in it.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
Okay.
And then there's this guy Sam Spruill. I think that's how you say his name.
That sounds very familiar.
He plays this character that might just be a sin eater from a different dimension.
Oh, wow.
No, it's not like in a weird, pointed out way. That's just kind of like what I'm thinking, just from watching him. Also, Risha Morjani is in it. She was in Never Have I Ever as the aunt. She's a really great actor. And David Rysdahl plays the husband.
Nice.
Just a really great cast. I really enjoyed. I was so skeptical when Fargo was announced years ago.
Yeah, same.
Because what an amazing movie. It seemed extremely pointless.
Right.
But I was wrong. I've enjoyed every season I've seen.
First season was phenomenal.
Unreal,
Second season was phenomenal. Third season fell off a little bit.
Which one was that?
The one with the alien. That's just the last one. Oh, no, wait. Or was that the second one? That was the second one. I didn't watch the third one. Sorry.
The fourth one, you mean? Because this is the fifth one?
Oh, I think you're right.
Because the last one was with Chris Rock, which I really enjoyed.
Yes.
I love Chris Rock.
Yeah, because the second season was about the...
twins, wasn't it?
No. It was the older... it was the older guy from the first season who is set in the 70s.
Right.
Yeah.
That was great. Oh, that
was a
so
great season. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the third one was with...
I think the third one was with the alien.
Obi-Wan playing the twins?
Yes.
Obi-Wan.
He still had his little side braid.
He did, because he was not quite a Jedi yet.
One of them did.
It was his Padawan braid.
So apparently it's just the Chris Rock season I didn't see. Okay.
Well, you should.
I need to rewatch all of them because I really, really enjoy Noah Hawley and his writing.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see these actors playing against type or playing against what they usually play. I mean, Jennifer Jason Leigh, there's no type for her. She plays everything, and she does it perfectly.
Right.
And no different in this. She is absolutely a standout, just phenomenal artist. And John Hamm, just seeing him as a bad guy and so imposing, and kind of chubby, and just this horrible human being.
He's so good at playing a bad guy.
He's great. And there's also, he's got another show out. I think it's called Grimsburg. It's an animated show.
Oh.
They had the pilot on Fox. It's funny as hell. I loved it. He plays this kind of washed up detective in this town that's been cursed since the 1600s, the murder capital of the United States.
Nice.
And he gets his badge back. But anyway, so I don't know.
Let's speaking of New Girl, let's talk about that movie we're going to talk about.
All right.
It's from Jake Johnson, who wrote, directed, and stars in it.
Had to do everything.
From New Girl. It was Self-Reliance, which I want to say I think it was on Amazon Prime.
It was on Hulu.
It was on Hulu. Self-Reliance, about Jake Johnson is a sad sack who is, it's not very far from his New Girl character.
Not very far from most of his characters.
No, he's
kind of a slovenly sad
funny
sack.
though.
He's really good. He also played Peter Parker in the animated Spider-Man movies.
But this movie's fantastic. It's him essentially getting invited into this deep web online game where he has to survive being hunted.
Yeah.
But the only way that they cannot kill him is if he's not alone, they can't kill him.
Right. If he's in the company of somebody else, he can't be killed. It's basically the most dangerous game.
Right.
Played for laughs.
But it's very funny. And I got to be honest, it had me questioning everything through the entire movie.
That was the genius.
Yeah.
That was the genius of this movie. Because it so clearly, and this is why I love Jake Johnson.
Yeah.
Because he so clearly pushed it into a way where it's a psychological in his head.
Right.
We're going to get into a little bit of spoilers here.
Yeah,
so if you haven't seen
careful,
it, we're not going to spoil it, but he just gives you and gives you and gives you so much just to push. And everybody knows him is like, dude, you're crazy. And the way he says it, Wayne Brady came to Dad and told him to come see me after 40 years. Wayne Brady?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, everything points to the fact that he's having a complete breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how he's coping with it.
Right.
But it isn't. And that's what I love about it, is because it isn't.
Yeah.
It is real.
Yeah.
And
he's not crazy.
And he isn't crazy. And Wayne Brady
but
comes
maybe he is.
But I don't think so. I mean, yes, that's the beauty of it too, is you could really, but I think he pretty much put a pin in it with Wayne Brady.
I think so too. But and
the fact that the money wasn't really the money, and it was Danish kroners, or it was
ended up being like $11.
He's getting $4,000 a month for like 120 months, But by the end, he's got a good friend.
Yeah,
the homeless guy who's now his roommate.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
He has Jake Johnson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Jake Johnson has an incredible talent for playing underdogs.
Yeah.
And also for having these stereotypical things turn out not stereo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like the whole homeless guy thing was just beautiful.
It was great.
It was
great. So great.
There's so much humanity to this film.
Yes.
And it's so sneakily, subversively deep.
It is. It really
hidden
is.
In this crazy, is it real? Is it not real? Andy Samberg's hilarious playing himself.
That was so great. So Andy Samberg told you to get into this game?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he did.
Oh, he does
such
a good job.
It's such a great movie.
Such a good job. Anna Kendrick is great in it.
Yeah.
Natalie Morales.
Yeah, small part, but she's great. I have a talent crush on Natalie Morales.
She's awesome.
Everything she's in, I'm always excited.
She was in Parks and Rec. She was in a bunch. She had her own show for a little while.
She did. She had a. It was actually there was a I think it was on like ABC Family or something, but she was a superhero. It was written by one of the writers of Lost, but it ran for a couple seasons, and I watched it all.
She had another network series where she like opened up this rooftop bar in
the
her
bar
apartment, and just had people. It was like a Cheers for the new. Yeah. It didn't last, but it was her charm made the series totally watchable.
She's so good. And Anna Kendrick was so good in this.
And so different than she usually plays.
Yeah.
She was it was a great performance by her. And it's nice to see, it's like the same thing with Lamorne Morris in Fargo. It's nice to see that these actors that play a lot of similar characters, because that's the work that they get.
That's how Hollywood works,
get to stretch their talents and show us what they can do, and that they're not just this, which is, that's every actor. But it almost seems to me like we're getting back into a kind of pigeonhole era in Hollywood where it's like, you got to do, unless you're big enough to have your own production company or whatever.
It seems very much so that you're not getting a lot of work if you're not doing that, essentially replicating the thing you just did.
Right. People see you this way. They don't want to see you that way. And
this is how you're selling yourself on social media, so you have to be that way.
Right. But if you haven't seen Self-Reliance, it is our pick of the month.
Highly recommend. It's so far my favorite movie of the year.
Oh, wow. Well, it's pretty early in the year. Definitely run to it. Especially if you're a fan of subversive comedy or just comedy. Or any of these actors, you're really, really going to like it. It's a sweet surprise.
Yeah. It was all four of us that watched it. Really liked it, and definitely Phoebe's a lot more picky about movies and stuff. And her and Newt both really liked it. It's really good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Everybody loved it.
Is there any other movies that you saw this month that you want to chat about?
Well, I've been attempting to watch Flowers of the
Rebel Moon? No, sorry. Yes. That would be an amazing, awful movie.
Flowers of the Rebel Moon.
Which, by the way, I tried watching Rebel Moon. I wasn't even paying attention, and 40 minutes into it, I was so bored I turned it off.
Yeah, it's god awful. It doesn't even deserve our words.
No, I couldn't, because I was like, well, I'm curious. Every time I looked up, it was like a different planet, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. It doesn't matter.
You're riding, and some guy's lunging. And then you're like 3 pages in, and you look up, and he's still lunging. And then you got 4 more pages done, and it's about a half an hour getting ready for lunch. You look up, and finally, he's connecting.
It has its apologists. They're out there, and they are very strong, opinionated people.
The Snyderverse people. They sure love Mr. Snyder. And I just don't get it. I don't trust anybody.
But so you did start watching Flowers of the Blood Moon.
Yes. And I've been enjoying it, and I'm really upset that I didn't see it in the theater. Because it's the type of movie that deserves me being in a darkened theater and watching it for 3 hours.
Full attention.
Straight through. Because it's great. It's really, really good. I mean, it's freaking Scorsese. And De Niro is really great in it.
Oh, wow.
And
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio is really great. And he's kind of ugly. Crazy.
What? That's impossible.
Also, if I saw it in the theater, I would have known that it was called Killers of the Flower Moon.
No blood on this moon.
But Lily Gladstone is amazing in it. I'm about maybe a half hour, 40 minutes in. I haven't even seen Jesse Plemons or Brendan Fraser yet.
Wow. I didn't even realize they were in it.
No, neither did I, because I haven't gone there yet.
John Lithgow. I didn't know he was in it either.
But it's a really, really interesting story that I really didn't know about the Osage Indians who the land, one of the reservations that they kept pushing him to worse and worse land.
Right.
That land popped oil. And those mother effers were rich as can be.
Wow.
And so what happened is these white dudes were starting to marry into the family under the guise of, incest type of thing,
Oh, they
need new blood. Branch out. New blood. But all of the Native Americans were dying in strange suicides. Wow. And, so it's not going to be a happy ending. It's not going to be...
Well, I'm pretty sure that you involve the indigenous people in America and then white guys taking oil. Never going to be a happy ending.
We'll have to say this, man. It is an amazing renaissance of Native American art. And, watching this and Reservation Dogs, and then us watching Echo.
Yeah, and True Detective Night Country.
True Detective Night Country, and also What If.
Yeah.
There is just a really great wealth of Native American heroes and stories being told, and I love it. I think it's
it's great. It's really great. Speaking of What If, the Kahori character is my new favorite Marvel character.
Yeah,
like she's so cool, and she did a great job. I'm hoping they extend that out into live action.
Yeah, me too. It was great, and I know I jumped ahead with everything,
okay.
But yeah. So anyway, I'm going to finish Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm really, kind of pissed at myself. I mean, look, I've been a Scorsese fan forever.
Right.
I missed his last one. I think streaming is detrimental to him.
Yeah.
Because his movies need to be seen in the theater.
Yeah.
And I started watching The Irishman, and I didn't finish it.
Didn't even bother. Yeah.
Because it's just I need to put blinders on and be locked into it.
Too easily to get distracted at home.
Because those movies deserve attention. They deserve your uninvited stock those movies.
Undivided attention?
Thank you, Adam. Yes. No phones, no nothing. And that's why I'm kind of bummed. And so when I go back to watching it, I'm going to make sure that I have the time to go through and watch the whole thing. And rather than getting sleepy.
I have to take a plane ride soon, so I think I'm going to try to watch it on the plane.
Oof. That just seems bad. Because it's on a little screen.
Yeah, it's not. I've been pretty lucky with the movies that I watch when I fly. So I mean, So speaking of, we did watch the first 2 episodes of Echo.
We did
with Alakwa Cox and Charlie Cox.
Thanks.
It's the character from. She was introduced in Hawkeye. But it kind of Marvel got back the rights from their Netflix shows, and so they're trying to integrate Charlie Cox's Daredevil into the MCU, and they did it a little bit. He was in the last Spider-Man movie, and he was in She-Hulk.
Right.
So they're trying to integrate them in.
But he and She-Hulk had a little thing.
Well, it's funny because in the comics, Echo and Daredevil have a thing.
Wasn't Daredevil deaf now too?
No, he's just blind.
Wait, not Daredevil. I was thinking of Hawkeye. Is it Hawkeye blind or deaf now?
I think he's going deaf. Yes, I think that was the whole deal, is that he was going deaf.
Well, and let's not forget Vincent D'Onofrio. Kingpin.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, it's not. I mean, it picks up. We haven't seen too much of him so far in the first 2 episodes. But
just a pretty crazy.
But he's amazing. He's such an amazing actor. And, and I'm curious. I mean, she's essentially, so far as we've gone into it, she started a war against him because what else is she gonna do?
Killed her dad.
Yeah.
It's got Zahn McClarnon, who is amazing. He was also
he's in a ton of stuff.
He was in Longmire, Reservation Dogs. Also, Devery Jacobs from Reservation Dogs plays her cousin Bonnie. Tontu Cardinal, who she is also from Reservation Dogs and Flowers of the Killers of the Blood, Killers of the Flower Moon.
It's a lot of Native Americans in this show, and a lot of them are going to be in pretty much everything we're talking about today.
Which is great, because Tontu Cardinal is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And so is Zahn, and so is Graham Greene, who's been around forever.
So good.
Unbelievable.
So good.
Chasky Spencer, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, he owns he's like an uncle, I think.
Yeah.
But he somehow, it's really great. My favorite thing about this series is that when she goes back home to Oklahoma, they all use sign language.
Yeah.
Like they all, she, as far as I know, is the only deaf person in their family.
Yeah.
But they all learned sign language.
Yeah. Also, just like Ms. Marvel, what I love about it is the family is so involved. And Blue Beetle, too. And that was like, I wasn't a huge fan of the movie Blue Beetle, but I loved the familial aspect of it and how the whole family's involved.
Right.
And it's very cultural, within the Native American culture, within the Indian American culture, or,
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they bring in, it's not a stereotype. They seem to really bring in the culture, and we get to learn stuff.
Right.
You know, I learned a lot watching Ms. Marvel. They dealt with the partition, which I didn't know a ton about. Right. And it's not like it's a historical, factual, whatever, but it brings historical things in that most people don't know about, or a lot of people don't know about or remember. And I think Echo does that too.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the second episode where they're like, essentially, rather than fighting a war between two tribes, they're having some kind of sporting event.
Yeah, it was like a cross between rugby and lacrosse.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Very interesting. And whomever lost, they
banned from the land.
Tribe. Yeah. And very, very well done. And Alaqua Cox is
so good.
Really, really good.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that she is deaf and she is an amputee and she is such a badass. I mean, I love it because the more heroes we have, the more kids are going to get to see themselves as heroes and be like, oh, well, I can be a hero too.
Exactly.
Maybe I don't have a leg, but maybe I can be a hero. These shows opening up people's eyes to different cultures and different ways of life, it's beautiful.
I agree.
I find it to be so good. And, like watching, it's so funny, watching The $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
That was a really progressive show.
Sure.
In terms of, for the time, it wasn't like this, but it just seems like we went from, in the 70s, we were really rolling towards acceptance. And that's when the acceptance of the LGBTQ community, and we had equal rights, and we had feminism, and we had civil rights, and we had all of these things coming together, and the possible decriminalization of marijuana, and all of these things that we were heading towards a very progressive nation because we were so exhausted from all of the fighting from the 60s. And then, Reagan comes in and ruins it all. But
I was just watching an episode of The Love Boat where Gopher had his college buddy, his college roommate, come onto the cruise, and his college roommate is now a woman.
Oh.
And it was 1982. And he at first is like, what?
Yeah.
And like confused. But then he's talking to Steubing about it. And Steubing is like, well, maybe it's something they'll get over. And he was like, no. Like, she is brave because she's living the life that she wants to.
Wow.
And it was like, especially coming from Gopher, because he eventually became a Republican congressman.
But must have heard him say those words.
It was really progressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that now, I mean, all the comments on it were like, yeah, nobody would make that now.
No.
It's just a shame. I mean, at this point, I think that we're getting back to that.
Yes.
But like, it was such a progressive stance in a show that didn't have to be that way.
Well, I think we have a good sense of progressiveness in entertainment.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of the reason why there's so much pushback.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are like, how dare you indoctrinate? Nobody wants to, first of all, nobody wants to indoctrinate your stupid kids.
No.
If you could lock your kid up in a room and never let him see any TV or anything, and just paste the walls with pages of the Bible.
Yeah.
And he's still going to be, or she's still going to be gay, lesbian, trans, bisexual, queer, whatever you want, because that's called biology, my friends.
Yeah.
Nobody is trying to recruit your kids. You know who's trying to recruit your kids? The right-wing crazies. And that's the last I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've really enjoyed watching these shows integrate these different aspects of different cultures seamlessly, and not like, in your face kind of. It's just part of the story.
It's really interesting with like Echo, which I know some people don't like for whatever reason, but like it's interesting putting that against something like Moon Knight, which I don't feel like did a good job of that.
A horrible job
of learning about the Egyptian culture and all that. And it was
a plot device.
It was just a British dude suddenly becoming Egyptian.
Right.
And it just was like, okay.
And it was an afterthought, and it was a plot device, and there wasn't anything that was beneficial about that.
No.
And you didn't learn a damn thing. You also didn't learn a damn thing about DID because it was one of the worst portrayals of that I have ever seen since, Ugh. Anyway, such better shows. But look, we're only one episode in. Two.
We watched two. Yeah,
2 episodes.
There's only 5 in the season, so I mean,
I love it.
You could literally binge it a day, a night.
We'll watch more today. I think it's great. I think Alaqua Cox is a firecracker. I think she's super badass.
I think she has a huge career ahead of her.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope all of these people do. And
Cody Lightning. The greatest thing about the show.
Oh, my God. We didn't even talk about Biscuits.
Biscuits, her cousin.
Effing Cody Lightning.
So he makes it look so easy.
He is the highlight of the year so far for me in seeing.
He's so good.
I want to see everything Cody Lightning's done. His Biscuits is just probably the most lovable character in the Marvel Universe at this point.
Yes.
He tries so hard, and he's just so afraid of his grandma.
He just wants to hang out with his cousin. He loves his cousin.
The look he gave when he was driving his grandma's car, her truck, past, and she sees him, and he sees her. He should get every Emmy just for that look.
Yeah, it was so great.
Oh, my God.
Great.
Cody Lightning.
So good.
Standout star.
Yeah.
I guess the big show. I mean, I watched. Let's see. I watched the Ted series about the teddy bear. I was wholly surprised. I didn't think I was going to like it. I like the Ted movies. I've got a real love-hate relationship with
Seth
MacFarlane.
Yeah.
I think he's an extremely talented, clever guy.
Yeah.
I think Family Guy's a little long in the tooth at this point.
Very long in the tooth.
It just doesn't, unfortunately, and it's not its fault. It's just the humor is dated at this point.
We've outgrown it. Yeah.
We've outgrown those types of things, and he's not even writing for the show anymore. No. So, he's not doing that. But Mark Wahlberg. But this show, it was great. And the thing about Seth that I love is that he loves TV. He loves old sitcoms. He loves all this stuff. And in his work, you can tell the love. And this is a love letter to 80s, 90s sitcoms.
Right.
And it's got the formula, but it's just raunchy, Instead of them being like, trying pot and being like, that's a bad thing. We'll never do that again. Yeah. Well, they do it all the time. And it's got such a stellar cast. You've got Max Burkholder playing the young John, the Mark Wahlberg
younger
part.
Mark Wahlberg character. Yeah.
This kid, he was in Parenthood, the TV series, when he was super young, a little baby boy, playing an autistic kid.
Right.
He was so absolutely good at that part that I honestly thought he might be autistic.
Yeah, yeah.
And then watching him in this, he sounds so much like, he's got the accent down. Yeah. He sounds so much like him. He's such a better actor. He just transcends the part over and over again. Plus, I love the kid. I saw an interview with him. He's like, "You playing any games?" He's like, "Oh yeah, Baldur's Gate 3." He's like, "I think I've logged in 190 hours on that." God. And they're like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "Look, the strike hit. I had nothing to do. My first playthrough, I went," and he's just like,
"Wow,
totally into it." Nice. Love this kid. So talented.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of really impressive stuff. And the fact that he took this part and he's doing it, I love him for it.
Nice.
The chemistry between he and the teddy bear are out of this world. Alana Ubach, I think that's how you name her. Ubach?
Sure, Ubach, probably.
Ubach. She's been around forever. She was on that Beekman.
Oh, yeah, Beekman's World.
Beekman's World. She was the
weird
crazy little assistant way back when.
Oh, that's funny.
She's been on a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize her. I had to look her up because her character is so different than anything she's ever done.
Wow.
And you got Scott Grimes playing the dad, Matty. You know him from Band of Brothers. He was one of the mains. I think he plays the son in the American Dad TV, the animated show that
does he?
MacFarlane does.
Okay.
You got Seth as Ted. And you've got Georgia Wingham playing the cousin, who's absolutely awesome. It's such a sweet, sweet show. And it's done, I was just completely blindsided by it. Because I thought, I'll check out it's going to suck. I'll check out the first episode and then I'll be done with it. I watched the whole thing in a day.
Yeah,
because I just couldn't put it down.
It's another good show from Peacock.
Yeah.
Like that, whatever Peacock's doing over there, they're doing it right.
And I will have to give this to Seth. He really nailed it on this one. And he really put together a show that's not only really funny and kind of subversive, but also has like one of the biggest hearts of any show ever. And even though the dad's a blustering, 80s, 90s a-hole Vietnam vet weirdo.
Right.
He still loves his family. He still loves his wife. You know what I mean? It's got that. It does what these types of shows need to do, which is have an anchor of a heart,
right?
Without being overly schmaltzy or sentimental,
right?
And it nails it. And I recommend it 100%.
I will definitely have to watch that.
We're finishing up. Reacher's just about done.
I think. We're recording this a little early, so we're gonna miss the finale by just a couple days. But I don't know what happened to the second season of Reacher.
I don't either, and it really, really bums me out because I love the first season so much.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah,
it was pitch perfect.
It was perfect, and
the whatever that is just missing from season 2.
And honestly, I think it's the lead.
Yeah, I just don't know what he's. Well, but that also is the writing. I mean, like it's.
Yeah, but his performance is so stiff.
Yeah.
And it's so... Yeah,
but the writing is not good.
No, and it's not. But you can still have Reacher's personality.
That's what I mean. But that's what I mean. It's not... I don't know when this was written, when it was shot.
Is great. He was great in the first season.
There's theories that somehow the writer's strike affected it, the acting... But I'm pretty sure they did all of it beforehand.
All I know is that the easygoing, fun, funny, charming part of Reacher has been excised, and he's like borderline on the spectrum at this point.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's just him punching and strangling guys. He's way too big. He buffed out way too much. It's distracting, and it's a deterrent to the role. And and it's just not that interesting. It's so many cliches, so many just silly things like not cuffing suspects or putting loose cocaine in a tire. I mean, it's just like it's like a really bad. It's like the opposite of $6 Million Man. It's like a really lazy 70s TV show.
It's just not everything about it is lazy. And that is
lazy.
It just makes me sad.
Me too.
They definitely renewed it for another season because it's still getting a lot of views regardless. So I'm hoping that the third season is they choose better source material and they choose a better book, and then they choose to spend a little more time developing the scripts.
The best Reacher books are the ones that are small.
Yeah.
The ones where he goes into a logging town, and then there's a militia, and he's got to help the town, and then there's a sheriff or somebody that he teams up with, and a woman he falls in love with. Yeah. And, it's just this small, contained, as we were watching The $6 Million Man, we both remarked that Lee Child must have been an extreme Bionic Man fan because it is basically the same thing without bionics.
Yeah.
But it just sucks. I mean, I'm hoping they'll pull out a couple of good eps.
I'm hoping the finale's good. I mean, that's all we got left.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's somehow... I mean, because honestly, having read all the books, like, you understand who Reacher is. What makes it interesting are the plots and, like, the people he meets and the characters he meets.
Yeah.
And
how he reacts and deals with them.
Yeah, and it's just they forced all of the 110th, and like it's like, oh yeah, no, camaraderie, and every time they would start singing a song, I would just want to bury my head in my pillow.
I'm crazy.
Like, no, it just
put the guitar away, buddy.
Work.
You're not at the beach. We're not drinking California coolers down by the beach.
No.
Put your guitar away. It just, yes, you're right. It was all forced. It just, whoever was the showrunner this season.
It's the same person from the first season.
You dropped the ball, buddy.
Yeah.
All of you.
That's
all
what just
dropped the ball.
I just don't know. I just don't know what happened and why it just isn't good. But then again, out of the 30 or so books, probably a third of them aren't very good.
True.
So I mean, it's like
true. It's absolutely
they're just
true.
not. I shouldn't say they're not as good as the best ones.
Right. Yeah. Look, when you're writing 50 books, there's going to be a couple of stinkers.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Insomnia from Stephen King.
Oh my god!
But
it's the only Stephen King novel I've never finished.
That was a slog, and the entire point of that whole book is two sentences that deal with the Dark Tower.
Dark Tower, yeah.
And that's the entire thing. Just read those 2 sentences, and then you don't have to read the book.
But I want to hear about what he's eating.
Sure. I bet you do. And then the strings. Is that the one with the strings?
Maybe
the auras that were cut.
No, I think that was Hearts in Atlantis.
It might have been both. He was on a weird little tip for a while.
Yeah, well, he got sober and then it got weird.
Well, there's always that period in the beginning.
Got to hold yourself back to reality.
Yeah.
It's like,
Anyway, it's not horrible, but it's as huge fans of the books and big fans of the first season. It's been a huge disappointment.
Yep,
I have to unfortunately say.
Better. We did watch the first episode of True Detective Night Country.
Oh, baby.
And man,
so good.
Issa Lopez, who created the season, she wrote and directed the first episode. I don't think she directs most of them, but she's a Mexican filmmaker and has had like 17 movies made.
Really?
The last one that she did in 2017 called Tigers Are Not Afraid, she wrote and directed. It has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've never heard of this movie.
Do you know where it's streaming?
No, I didn't. I wasn't able to find it. But Stephen King, Neil Gaiman, and Guillermo del Toro all expressed how much they loved the movie.
That's enough for me.
Yeah, and I just watching this first episode, I just want to see everything she's done.
Well, it's like The Thing.
Yeah.
And it's got so many cool... It's got all the things I love.
Yeah.
Snow.
It is a great first episode.
So good, and there's so many neat little Easter eggs that go all the way back to the first episode.
Yeah,
and even they even have The Thing in the library. Of the movies. So there's just I love all the neat little blink and you'll miss it references and homages and things. And my God, Jodie Foster is a master. An absolute master, and I think it's been a while since because I missed the movie that she did about the swimmer, that NPR actually. She was an NPR journalist who was Naiad, Diana Naiad.
Oh yeah.
Who swam the English Channel or whatever,
or whatever. One of those big bodies of water.
Her and Annette Bening. I missed that. I do want to see it, but man,
she's so good in this. The writing is so good in this show. The establishment of the connection between the characters, like it's mostly just 1 or 2 lines, and it's so good. Like
but we know the tension.
The
tension between her and Callie Reese, who she's a freaking boxer, and she's absolutely phenomenal.
So incredible in this,
and fierce, man, with those piercing the little cheeks and just the
tattoos,
and just the muscles, and she is just imposing.
Something like just immediately how much they just hate each other. And
oh my God,
yeah, it's so good,
and it's gearing up to my favorite thing, which is enemies becoming buddies and having to work together to solve a crime. Oh, I'm getting all tingly. But not only that, but you have Fiona Shaw.
Oh my God, the whole the end of that episode is so good, and she's following a dude through the snow, not wearing shoes.
Yeah.
And
a ghost.
Just
spirit.
That's the one line.
Yeah.
She's like, well, Travis showed me. And they're like, but Travis is dead. And she's like, yeah.
I know. Oh, creepy.
It's so good.
And you got John Hawkes, who is just an amazing actor.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to find out more about his character.
Yes.
Like his characters. Oh, he's definitely showing his age now.
But it's just setting up such a crazy, weird...
I want to know more.
Yeah,
I want to know more. It hooked me so deep.
Is there going to be is Cthulhu going to come popping out of the ice? Is that who's awake? I mean, who? We don't know.
There is a one-eyed polar bear. There's just so much weirdness that goes on, and but in a realistic way.
Yeah, it's the first show in a long time where I just cannot wait for the second episode. I wish they were all available to binge.
I know.
It's going to be torture waiting for each episode.
So excited. It's so good.
It's such a great series, too. Like all of the... I'm not a huge fan of the second season, but I'm going to rewatch them again. I think the second season suffered what a lot of times when I see a new Coen Brothers movie, what happens is I get so excited and the buildup is so much that when I see it, it's not what I think it's going to be, and then I feel disappointed. But then when I watch it again and watch it for what it is, that happened to me with Big Lebowski.
Oh, yeah?
Like, at first, I was like, I don't know. And then it became one of my favorite movies ever.
It's so funny because I do that with every single Radiohead album. Nice. I listen to it and I'm like, what is this? And then I'll listen to it again and be like, oh.
Yeah, because it's smart. You mean smart stuff, you have to take a little time to get into it.
But it's hard. It's really hard because Nick Pizzolatto did the first season. He literally wrote like a 400-page script.
Yeah.
And then they broke it down into 10 episodes. And so he knew exactly what was going on the entire time. Second season, he was a producer. He wasn't involved in the writing. And it suffered, you know.
Well, it was also lightning in a bottle. The whole Yellow King and the way that everything kind of, it came together. It was so...
Oh, so
mysterious, so weird.
And the two leads were so
amazing. And, no disrespect to, there's a goofy guy.
Vince Vaughn?
No disrespect to Vince Vaughn, but it's just, he wasn't as interesting.
He doesn't have, Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey put in the performances of their lives.
Plus, they're best friends. And they work so well together. The chemistry that they have is just absolutely natural. Yeah. And whenever they're together, it's gold. It's absolute gold. And seeing their characters older and younger. I thought the third one with Mahershala Ali, who's great in everything.
Oh, he's so good.
He was amazing.
So
but the standout and the surprise for me was Stephen Dorff, who hasn't done anything in a long time.
Yeah.
Always kind of seemed like a B movie.
I did not watch the third season. I need
it's definitely better than the second.
Okay.
And Mahershala is transcendent.
Yeah.
He's such a good actor. And Stephen Dorff, again, such a great performance. I was just blown away by him.
Wow.
And he must be an a-hole because he hasn't done any really work since then and before. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this...
I agree 100%. I am so excited about the next episode.
Yeah.
I am excited to see where it goes. It is going to be a masterclass.
Oh, man. I have been waiting for this for months, and now that it's finally here, I am so excited. This is going to be, hopefully, I hope it keeps up as it does. I hope it keeps up with how great the first episode is because, man, this could be the best show of the year.
Agreed.
So what are you playing?
I am still playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima!
I haven't really played much of anything else. I have picked up a couple other games, but I just haven't really tried anything else yet.
You haven't been playing RoboCop?
No, because I wanted to get through the Ghost of Tsushima again.
I get it.
And I did open up the Director's Cut, the expansion, Iki Island, which is really good and way harder than anything else.
So when they released the PS5 version, the PS5 upgrade, they added a bunch of different stuff for the main story, but they also have an expansion of a whole new island.
Yeah,
that I haven't played, but Adam's playing right now.
Yeah, it folds into the main character's past, and because his father was killed on that island, and it's really interesting. It's a whole new class of Mongols that come in, and
nice.
They have guys that do chants, and it essentially makes everyone around them impervious to dying. It's hard.
Well, that's
it gets
great.
Really hard.
I love when the expansion adds new wrinkles and new things. It's not just much more of the same, but in a different island, a different biome.
It's cool because because I think most people probably played it after they finished the story, because I played it halfway through.
Yeah.
Now all the stuff I got on the island I get to use for the rest of the game.
Oh, that's rad.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, I need to download that. I keep downloading it and starting it, and then something new comes along that's 1,000 gigs, and I have to, Sophie's Choice it.
Yeah.
And I had to basically delete everything to get Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, which you have finally finished.
Oh, man. Thank you, by the way.
Of
that
course.
was a Christmas present from Adam. It scratched an itch I didn't know I had, apparently.
Yeah.
I've been kind of just going from game to game.
Yeah.
Kind of like a 70s hero, just going game to game, solve crimes, moving on.
Yeah.
But but I couldn't. Nothing was really clicking with me. And then as soon as I popped this in, it hit me to like I'd be up until 2 a.m. playing, and I jammed through this probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Because I just couldn't put it down. It has all of ticks all the boxes that I love. Customization, amazing story, Star Wars, Easter eggs. The story is so good, and it does a really good job of just kind of making you feel comfortable for a while, and then just pulling the rug out from under you and changing everything. And even at the beginning, there's a lot of death. It's a much more mature story than the first one. And the character is older and funnier and more seasoned, so he's more of a kind of a rogue, but still a Jedi, but not a Jedi. Like he's falling in love and he's doing all these different things, and he makes choices that make it really interesting that other Jedi, quote unquote, haven't really made. And by the time you get to the end of the story, you know, he's integrated all this shit that you're like, whoa, wow, this is the whole new kind of deal. Right. And it's probably the best Star Wars story that I've experienced in a long time. And that's even like movies and TV and stuff. I think, you know, Andor, of course, was, you know, but it really hooked me. It's gorgeous. Yeah. There were some glitches, there were some problems, there was a few things, but nothing game breaking or nothing that completely took me out of the immersion or anything. Right. And I even went back and started a New Game Plus, basically to see there is a if you finish it and you start a New Game Plus, there's a lightsaber color that's like a party color, and it just changes over and over. Nice. And you can get red. Too, because you know. Yeah. That's the bad guy color. But it grabbed me. It didn't let go. Cool. And it was also one of those things that, you know, once I finished it, I just couldn't play anything for a few days. You know, you're just kind of exhausted. You just gotta
take a breath and
thinking about it too. It really kind of flew under the radar last year. There were so many great games.
Yeah. It was a good year. It was a good year.
Yeah, I think it was one of the best years for games since like the PS2. Period. Yeah. You know, we haven't had this many solids in a while. But that took up my time. And I'm looking forward to playing the RoboCop game when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna pick that up because I think the story only takes like 10 or 12 hours. So I'm gonna pick that up after I finish Ghost of Tsushima, which honestly at this point I've literally gotten all of the trophies. So it's like I might just bang through the story just to get it done.
Yeah. Bang through it.
But we'll see. Also, I am gonna be traveling for a little while, so possibly you could just play RoboCop and probably be done with it by the time I get back.
Probably. I might sneak in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% recommend that game if you're a Star Wars fan, if an action game fan, whatever. The thing that I love the most about it is there's 5 different stances that you can choose from. There's single blade, double blade, then the cross, you know, the blade like Darth Maul,
the two ends,
mm-hmm. And then you've got the Kylo Ren cross saber. Yeah. Which is like a claymore. It's like a, you know, giant broadsword. And then my favorite, which I played through 90% of the game, was the blaster stance, where you can use a saber in one hand and a blaster in the other. Nice. And man, it just changes the whole game. It just makes it so much fun because the Jedi games are getting a little old. That's why I'm looking forward to Star Wars Outlaw so much. Right. Because it doesn't look like we got the Jedis. Yeah. It's just the rogues.
We don't,
And I think we need it. And this was kind of a mix of it. And it didn't take itself as seriously as it did the first time. Nice. And cut limbs off and stuff.
Nice.
Good times. I highly recommend it.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got. We'll be back next week. Start a new month.
Brand new month. It's our
first loves.
Yeah. It's the month of love.
Yeah, we're gonna
say Halloween, but no,
it's not Halloween.
It's a Valentine's Day.
Valentine's.
But we're doing, for me, $6 Million Man, which we spoke about, which was the first show that made me love TV, I suppose. It was the first show that I played along with. I had my little, my little, not little, it was big ass doll. Oh, the stepdad hated that. Oh, he hated it so much. But I didn't. But love my Steve doll. Love the show. It was just the greatest show ever.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it next week.
And then for Adam, that was Quantum Leap for
Quantum
you.
Leap, yeah. That was the first show that I made my parents let me stay up and watch.
Same, so I think for
6 million. I will admit, I have very much been enjoying watching $6 Million Man.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting back to Quantum Leap because I really loved Quantum Leap when it was on. Scott Bakula. He's a great guy. And
it's another and Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell.
Oh my God! It's just I loved the time travel nerd going to the time travel stuff. I loved it. I loved the idea of being able to get into someone else's body and then being that person.
Yeah,
and
sounds pretty sexy.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and then
we'll end the month out with Stephen King,
right? Which is basically what got us both, really supercharged our love for reading.
Yes,
and for me. As soon as I read his first book, which I think was, for me, I think the first one was Salem's Lot when I was way too young for it.
Yeah.
He was my favorite writer from then on to this day.
That was, I did the same thing. I was way too young and I read it.
Oh, Jesus.
And I read that over the course of like a year and a half. I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I was at my grandma's house. I just, every time we visited, I'd read another chapter.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was, it got a little weird at the end.
Got a little weird in the middle too. But yeah, it's just going to be a love fest next month. It'll be a lot of fun because we're so passionate about these different things because they hit us as kids, It's always fun to talk about lifelong loves.
Right.
And for me, it's not like, watch The Bionic Man all the time, but watch it every year. Honestly, I don't think I've seen it since the 70s, since it ended.
Wow. Yeah, since
and, and it's just, I can't stop watching it. I've watched so many episodes. I feel like I'm in the 70s. You have to stop at some point, too, because it gets... Your mind just gets weird.
Yeah.
And it's such
a fun show.
It's so great.
Such a fun show.
I love the car
I'm excited
phones.
to talk about it. It'll be fun.
Good times. Yeah. Definitely tune in next month for our first loves. Well, thanks for tuning in this month. We had a great time. Again, if you haven't seen these 3 movies for some bizarre reason, get your butt and see them.
Check them out.
Throw them in your collection. And we'll be back. As much as I absolutely adore
Kurt Russell,
thank you.
Yeah.
I adore him so much I can't remember his goddamn name. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Benson, already in progress.